Hello to all the passionate Celtic supporters tuning in. The past week has been nothing short of turbulent for the boys, and as always, we're here to break down every twist and turn, every bit of news, every rumor, and of course, every reaction from inside and outside Celtic Park. Saturday's derby defeat has left a mark, and it's fair to say that emotions are running high amongst players, management, and fans alike. It's no secret that the post-match atmosphere was charged with frustration and disappointment, and a few voices from the dressing room have made their way into the spotlight. Luke Macau's comments after the derby have set tongues wagging, and rightfully so, because they give us an insight into just how unsettled things are at the club right now. According to Macau, the players have no choice but to be behind Wilfried Nancy simply because he is the manager. There's no doubt that he's feeling the pressure. He's spoken about returning home after matches and staring at a black TV screen, skipping highlights or even the World Championship darts, a clear sign that the weight of the results is really hitting home. For fans, it's uncomfortable to hear, and for the players, it's an unusual level of honesty spilling out. The sense from Macau's words is that while there's a collective duty to get behind Nancy, there's also an underlying lack of genuine belief, a hesitancy in the squad to fully commit to the new manager's methods. He made it clear that in football, especially mid-season, results are all that matter. There's no time to slowly build confidence or morale, no room for trial and error, only immediate outcomes. The first half may have shown promise, but the second half exposed deficiencies, and Macau laid it bare that the responsibility to stay united and improve lies with everyone, from the coaching staff down to the players on the pitch. While Macau's honesty is refreshing, it also exposes a wider problem at Celtic. There's a growing impression that the squad as a whole isn't fully behind Nancy. That belief in the manager's vision is fragmented. It's not just about tactics or formations, it's about buy-in, about players genuinely wanting to fight for the man in charge. When a squad isn't aligned, it's almost impossible for a manager to succeed, and we're seeing that play out in real time. Recent weeks have shown disappointing performances, derbies lost, and frustration mounting amongst the fan base. And while Macau has been outspoken, the mood behind the scenes seems to be far more complex, with other players quietly disillusioned, unhappy with the direction of the club, or simply disengaged from the manager's message. We're witnessing a disconnect between expectation and reality, one that could have long-term consequences if not addressed. Off the pitch, the January transfer window adds another layer of intrigue and uncertainty. Celtic are clearly looking to strengthen, but there's a mix of sensible moves, rumours, and some questionable decisions that leave supporters scratching their heads. Stevie Woods, for example, has been at the centre of swirling speculation. Rumours that his tenure as goalkeeping coach might be ending have surfaced repeatedly over the last few weeks. While it's unclear exactly what's happening, it's symptomatic of the unrest permeating the club at multiple levels. Every change or potential departure feeds into the sense that stability is fragile. Meanwhile, player departures are also making waves. Hayato Inamura has joined FC Tokyo on loan, leaving Celtic after a single competitive appearance, a signing that has struggled to justify its place. Jamai Simpson Pusuzi has similarly cut short a loan spell to move to FCK in the Bundesliga, yet another reminder that recent recruitment decisions haven't always hit the mark. At the same time, Celtic are reportedly pursuing new talent, including a bid for Jocelyn Tabby, a 20-year-old winger currently on loan in Israel. While there's potential in the signing, it's hard not to wonder if Celtic could aim higher, especially given the current state of the squad and the urgency to improve results. Even beyond players, the club's recruitment structure is shifting. James Bell Walker has joined Celtic, bringing a wealth of experience from his time at Chelsea and other clubs, presumably to bolster the scouting department. This could prove crucial if Celtic are to navigate the transfer market effectively in the months ahead. While the club moves to bring in new talent and fresh faces, the question remains whether these changes will be enough to galvanize a squad that appears, at least publicly, divided in its support for the manager. In the meantime, supporters themselves are becoming more vocal. The Celtic Fans Collective have been reaching out to gather opinions ahead of upcoming fixtures, hinting at possible direct action in response to the on-pitch struggles and wider frustrations. A boycott of an upcoming match against Dundee United has been mooted as a potential course of action, reflecting the strength of feeling amongst the supporter base. Clearly, fans are growing impatient with both performance and management, and the message is hard to ignore. Results need to improve, and quickly. Looking back at past managerial transitions, there are parallels but also stark differences, even under challenging periods with previous managers like Anposoglu or Brendan Rodgers during his second spell. The squad seemed more united, more willing to fight for the manager, despite the criticism and pressure. Current circumstances feel different. There's an air of resignation, a sense that the squad has become a beaten bunch, and the responsibility now falls on Nancy to either turn the tide or face mounting scrutiny. The combination of underwhelming performances, player unrest, and vocal fan dissatisfaction paints a clear picture. Celtic are at a crossroads. Every match, every result now carries heightened significance, and the manager, the squad, and the board are all under intense pressure to deliver improvements. The stakes are immense, and as we edge further into January, the next few weeks could prove decisive in shaping the remainder of the season. Off-field stories continue to compound the sense of instability. Former managers, former coaches, and past players provide context to the current situation, often highlighting contrasts between how other clubs operate and how Celtic have navigated transitions in recent years. Aberdeen's decision to part ways with Jimmy Ten, despite past successes, offers an interesting lens through which to view management in Scottish football, reminding supporters that results are always paramount and that patience has limits. Within Celtic, similar scrutiny is emerging, with the fans, media, and even players themselves questioning direction, commitment, and accountability. Each new comment, each transfer move, and every rumor feeds into the narrative of a club struggling to find cohesion, balance, and momentum. It's clear that the current era under Wilfried Nancy has presented challenges on multiple fronts. The combination of disappointing results, visible discord within the squad, and an increasingly restless fan base has created an atmosphere where urgency and tension are palpable. Players like Luke Macau have highlighted the necessity of collective responsibility and unity, but the reality is that belief alone may not be enough. Meanwhile, the board and coaching staff are tasked with both addressing immediate results and long-term strategic planning, navigating the January window while managing expectations, morale, and the ever-watchful eyes of supporters. The weeks ahead are crucial. The club's response to these pressures will shape the narrative of this season and influence whether Celtic can reclaim a sense of stability, cohesion, and ambition both on and off the pitch. As we move deeper into January, the pressure on Celtic is mounting by the day. The squad is now facing not just the disappointment of results, but the tangible strain of expectation from every corner of the club. Every fan, every pundit, every journalist seems to have an opinion, and rightfully so, because the performances on the pitch have often failed to match the stature and history of the club. After Saturday's derby loss, it feels like the cracks in the squad are more visible than ever. The players look hesitant, sometimes lacking the drive and cohesion you'd expect from a side that has historically prided itself on unity and resilience. Luke Macau's comments over the weekend may have shocked some supporters, but they were not entirely surprising to those following Celtic closely. His honesty, while perhaps uncomfortable, paints a picture of a dressing room struggling to fully buy into Wilfried Nancy's philosophy. There's a sense that the manager's authority is being respected in principle rather than embraced in practice, and players are following instructions because they have to, not necessarily because they believe those instructions will deliver success. This kind of environment is dangerous at any club, and it becomes especially damaging in mid-season when results are critical. The January transfer window, as always, has offered a glimmer of hope for supporters, a chance to reset and strengthen the squad, yet the early signs have been mixed. The departure of Hayato Inamura on loan to FC Tokyo and Jamai Simpson Pusuzi to FCK in the Bundesliga demonstrates a willingness to move on from players who have not delivered, but it also highlights the risk of having invested in signings that ultimately failed to make an impact. Inamura's single competitive appearance and Simpson Pusuzi's brief contribution show that Celtic's recruitment has occasionally fallen short of expectations, a situation that will require careful reflection to avoid repeating the same mistakes. Meanwhile, the potential arrival of Jocelyn Tabi, a young winger from Israel, offers a different story. At 20 years old, Tabi has shown glimpses of talent, scoring a couple of goals and contributing assists in the league. His style, quick, direct, and willing to stretch defenses, could provide the spark Celtic need on the flanks. Yet the reality is that he arrives in a squad struggling with confidence, a team whose belief in their manager is not yet solidified. Will a young player be enough to shift the balance, or will the existing uncertainty dampen the impact of his arrival? Only time will tell, but it is clear that any new signing must be ready to adapt quickly to a challenging environment. The question of player morale remains central. The comments from Luke Macau are just one piece of a wider puzzle. There have long been whispers of unrest in the squad. Callum McGregor's absence from media duties, despite being captain, has fueled speculation that not all senior players are on the same page. Stories of internal disagreements, quiet dissatisfaction, and even subtle resistance to the manager's methods have surfaced sporadically, and together they point to a squad that is far from fully united. For a manager like Wilfried Nancy, this is a formidable challenge. Leadership in such circumstances requires both tactical acumen and emotional intelligence, a combination that becomes even more crucial when results are under pressure. Nancy's task is not just to win games, but to restore trust, rebuild cohesion, and ensure that the squad is pulling in the same direction. With the January fixtures piling up, every match carries extra weight, and any lapse in concentration or commitment could have significant consequences for both league standing and team morale. Off the pitch, the role of the fans is becoming increasingly significant. The Celtic fans collective have been vocal about their concerns, and it's clear that the supporter base is ready to assert influence. The possibility of a boycott against Dundee United, for instance, reflects the growing impatience and frustration among fans. Supporters are no longer content to silently endure poor results or a perceived lack of ambition. They want action, they want accountability, and they want to see tangible change. This groundswell of opinion places additional pressure on the board and the management team, reinforcing that decisions made behind closed doors are closely scrutinized. Even if a boycott does not fully materialize, the very discussion of it sends a message that fans expect more than excuses or temporary fixes. Their involvement is now an unavoidable factor in the club's operations and reflects a broader shift in supporter engagement where voices off the pitch can influence outcomes as much as performances on it. The managerial history at Celtic provides a contrasting lens. In past seasons, even during periods of poor results or challenging fixtures, the squad often appeared willing to fight for the manager. Brendan Rodgers, during his second spell, faced immense scrutiny and pressure, yet the team displayed a level of belief and unity that is noticeably absent under Nancy. Similarly, under Anposoglu, criticism from the media and setbacks on the pitch did not prevent players from demonstrating commitment and drive. The current situation, by contrast, feels more fragile. The perception of a defeated or hesitant squad has amplified the difficulties of establishing authority and credibility for Nancy. Results, of course, remain the ultimate arbiter, but when belief is lacking within the squad, the task of reversing negative momentum becomes exponentially more difficult. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Scottish Fitbar has been left buzzing after whispers began to swirl that Celtic could be lining up one of the most eye-catching attacking moves in recent memory. The name doing the rounds is CUCHO HERNÁNDEZ, a striker widely tipped as the favorite marksman of Wilfried Nancy, and the mere suggestion has been enough to set tongues wagging from Parkhead to Pittodrie. Nothing has been nailed down, and that sense of uncertainty is exactly what's fueling the intrigue. Celtic are known for moving quietly before striking decisively, and the sudden emergence of Hernandez in the rumour mill feels anything but accidental. Insiders suggest the club's recruitment team have been tracking a forward with pace, edge, and a hunger for goals, someone capable of unsettling defences both at home and on the European stage. Hernandez, with his sharp movement and instinct in the box, fits that profile almost too neatly. What adds extra spice is his association with Nancy, a coach admired for his attacking philosophy and his ability to get the best out of dynamic forwards. Being labelled his favourite goal scorer carries weight, hinting at a player trusted to execute complex tactical ideas while still delivering in front of goal. For Celtic supporters, that description alone is enough to spark dreams of a more fluid, aggressive front line. Around Glasgow, the talk is cautious but excited. Some see it as a statement of intent, a sign the club are prepared to gamble on flair rather than play it safe. Others reckon it could be classic Celtic smoke and mirrors, a rumour allowed to breathe while other business is done behind closed doors. Either way, the speculation has cut through the usual transfer noise. Until anything is confirmed, Hernandez remains a name on everyone's lips rather than a shirt on a player's back. But in Scottish football, rumours have a habit of shaping expectations long before reality arrives. If nothing else, this one has already achieved its purpose. It has Scotland talking, wondering, and daring to imagine what might be next at Celtic Park. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.